Blog Talk Radio.
Welcome to Conversations Live, where we bring you the best in music, books, entertainment, and current events. When the movers and shakers of the world have something to say to you, they say it to us. Now, here is your host, Cyrus Webb.
And good afternoon, everyone, and welcome back to Conversations Live, where we connect you with the artists and authors you love who bring you the music and books you can't get enough of. I'm your host, Cyrus Webb. I want to once again thank those joining us here on the radio side of our program, those tuning in through 92.3 FM. Also, we welcome those joining us online around the world, thanks to blogtalkradio.com, either through our switchboard, our live chat, or our podcast. We're glad to have all of you with us. We have our great friend Margaret back on with us today. She's an actress and model, but also an advocate for causes that matter to her as well. We're going to talk to her not only about her own journey to where she's been, but also how she's been able to use that to be able to bring attention to things that matter to her and also help us to look at our lives a little bit differently as well. Margaret, good afternoon to you, and welcome back to the program.
Oh, thank you so much. Great to hear your voice. Love it.
Well, look, hey, same here, and thank you so much for working with us to get this rescheduled. You know, Margaret, one of the things that I'm so impressed with you about, and I remember this from the very first time that we talked, and we kind of can begin the conversation here, and that is you are someone, it's very obvious, you're very comfortable in your own skin. Talk to us about how that has been able to not only help you as you've gone throughout the life of, you know, of celebrity existence, but also, of course, remembering what's important.
Well, that is so sweet, and that actually makes me blush at the thought because that's so kind. You know, being comfortable in your own skin, it's interesting because you may look comfortable, and maybe I do, but I'm as shy as the next person. But it really is just sort of being a bit more fearless in life and making choices and being really trying to be your authentic self. I think sometimes we always try to be somebody. I know that I always look at, you know, pictures of Cindy Crawford and I say, oh, God, you know, what is she doing today to herself? She looks great. She's actually looking fantastic. So I woke up this morning thinking, okay, all right, no birthday cake for me. I just celebrated my birthday yesterday. But, you know, just things like that, being authentic to yourself, and always just learning and moving and trying to become more spiritual in whatever aspect that is. I think that really has to do with it, and aging gracefully in that regard.
Yeah, and you know what I think, too, and that beauty from the inside definitely comes out, Margaret, I have to say. You know, you have been able to do what so many people like about, you know, life in the spotlight. You've been able to do acting. You've been able, of course, to do modeling, you know, to influence things when it comes to, you know, what people wear, what is considered, you know, in style. When you think about this experience, for those who missed our first conversations, you know, when did you first know that this was a life that you wanted? Because I think, you know, for some people, I mean, for you to have worked as hard as you have and to have had the success that you have had, you know, it definitely has to have been a decision for you to say, you know what, this is my goal and this is what I'm going to work toward. But when did you realize that for yourself?
Well, you know, I was raised very conservatively, and it's funny. I think I've done a lot of work. I did a women's workshop last year, actually, and one of the subjects I brought up was shame. So I've worked very hard at trying to follow through on goals that I set, rather than just being satisfied with, oh, they chose you, they picked you, you know, you can go, you know, for a casting or for an acting call. Well, of course I can. And I think building up confidence is really important in one's life, and I've tried to do that. And as you get older, it naturally happens because you really don't care about the things you cared about when you were younger. It just hopefully naturally falls away from you, and if you allow it to, it will, and not grasp too tightly to things of past. But getting rid of a lot of fear in life is very important for moving ahead. I feel very blessed. I do feel that there is an enormous amount of luck in life, and I always feel that you should be very aware of who's around you. You know, most of my jobs and some of the most amazing experiences I've had in my life have really come sort of from accidental situations of, you know, sitting next to somebody on a bus or chatting about a subject that completely has nothing to do with the business, and then before you know it, you know, you meet a photographer or a casting director. Or I think always being open and talkative, not cool, not too self-assured of yourself that you're too good to have those conversations, or there's a very special knack, and it's very interesting, the business today with all the social media. But I still find those one-on-one relationships work really well. So I don't know if that answered your question, but
yeah, it does. It does. And Margaret, you mentioned, of course, social media. You are one of those individuals, like I think the rest of us, who have been able to communicate with individuals. We both shared even this conversation through Twitter.
Yeah.
What has it been like for you to kind of share your life with your fans, and then to be able to have, even though the world has, to me, gotten smaller because of social media, we're kind of more connected. Yeah, I mean, you're able to kind of have that one-on-one connection that way. What has that been like for you?
Well, you know what's really funny? I have cleaned out the closet so much in my personal life that I really don't have a lot of close friends anymore, or just, I really want people around me that I love and that love me and that have my back. And I found that with Twitter and with Facebook, it was just so amazing to get these birthday wishes from my Facebook friends that are sort of very convenient friends, you don't have to really do much to stay friends with. So I love it, actually. I mean, I had hundreds of birthday wishes, which just meant the world to me, and some of them were really quite lovely. So I'm a huge fan, and I'm a huge fan of reaching out. I think there's that line that you draw, and Julie and I always chat about it. Julie works in public relations, and she said, oh, tweet this and tweet that. And I said, really? Do people want to really? I mean, is that important enough? Doesn't that seem a little vain or conceited, or who cares what I think? Which is interesting. In the cover, the topic of one of the magazines in the stands now was Hollywood turning against Gwyneth Paltrow. I think there's that you can't be too over the top with yourself. I mean, the Kardashians are a whole other story. I find that irritating. I find that that kind of networking about what dress you're wearing and things like that really, once in a while it's very nice to tweet something great that you've seen, but that sort of non-important, frivolous stuff is a bit over the top. I mean, as long as it's sort of used to do something positive for somebody, I love. It's a great way to channel what you're doing, and again, not all of it has to be so heavy, but you always run that risk of being self-absorbed and narcissistic, which I think, we see a lot of these days, and I think that's coming to an end. I really do. There's just so much suffering going on around us, it just seems silly to be using it for those purposes, but
You know what? That's a really good point. I want to come back to that, actually. For those that are just tuning in, you're listening to Conversations Live. Margaret Luce is back on with us. She's an actress, model, individual who definitely is living her life with purpose and passion. We're talking to her not only about the beginnings of her journey and how she knew what she wanted to do with her life, but also what it's been like for her to live in this world. As you said, there's so much out there. A point that you made, though, that I think is quite interesting is, and I think this is what is so respected about you, is that you're an individual that is you have this awareness that the world is larger than yourself, and so you don't seem to take yourself that seriously in that regard of feeling as though we have to know everything. But don't you also feel as though, Margaret, that part of that is the fact that your view of success, your view of the spotlight, is so different than a lot of people. Some people just want to be famous just to be famous. It seems as though you had a very clear purpose as to what you wanted to do with your life.
I wanted to do good work. I really did. I wanted to do good work. I wanted to be good. I've worked with some amazing photographers all over the world. Everything that I did was the shoots that we were on. It was very creative, and you're an actress of sorts when you're working on a great campaign. I really wanted to fulfill the author's dream. None of it really had to do with being famous and things like that, which is all you really hear about now. And I think that's the only thing where social media can get confused. And if you're not involved, you almost miss the boat on it, which I've always had a little bit of an issue with. So you sort of have to join it, and if you can join it on your own terms, that's great. But I do push myself. I have to say I push myself to tweet because it just doesn't come naturally to me. I have so many funny Lucy moments, in life, whether it be, at a super glam event or down on 45th Street, in the hood down here, which I love, or, doing my antiquing. I have so many fun moments that I think most people would get a kick out of, but sometimes I just don't take the time to tweet about it, and I need to get into the habit more of doing it because it is quite fun. The feedback is fun.
Yeah, it is fun, and I think too, it does show though, and I think this is a great example of it. The importance of the moderation. It seems like that's one thing that that you are doing. Not feeling as though I know I was at breakfast this morning at Subway with my brother, and we don't get to do that often. And I happen to look. I'm talking to him, and I happen to look up, and he's actually posting on Facebook that we're sitting at Subway, and I'm thinking,
I know.
Is that really necessary to let people know that we're sitting? So it's really it is. I think the moderation is good, and I think that's a great example too, Margaret. Margaret, I want you to stay with us. We're going to take a quick break here. When we come back, I want to talk about some of that good work that you wanted to do, and some of the causes that you've been able to work with. Okay.
Wonderful. Okay.
Again, you're listening to us here at 92.3 FM and online through blogtalkradio.com. And we're back with Conversations Live. And our conversation was Margaret Luce. Margaret is not only a respected actress and model, but she's also an individual who has learned how to use her life and her celebrity for good. She's definitely following her purpose and passion. She's been sharing that experience with all of us here. Margaret, you mentioned, that for you wanted to be able to do good. And, of course, having that higher profile has opened up the doors for you to be able to do that. Talk to us about, about that process, because I know there are so many people, and it's hard to say yes to everybody. But what are some of the causes and issues that normally do draw your attention and say to you, you know what, this is something I want to be involved in?
I'm good with hard stuff. I'm really good with hard stuff, and I have wonderful friends here that raise money for all sorts of events and charities and amazing causes, everything from, St. Jude's to children with cancer, leukemia, to pet causes, to the environment, to all sorts of wonderful causes. I have a affinity towards those suffering from addiction. I don't know what it is. It's just something I feel, by the grace of God, I've been spared myself. But I think most people going through that are super sensitive people, and that's why you find a lot of them very talented artists and things, very sensitive. So I've been working here on the board of CARP for quite some time, which is a addiction center, and I'm on a new board member of a place called the Fern House. And the Fern House is a structured and disciplined recovery program for male alcoholics and drug addicts, and it's a 6-month program. And it is just an amazing program run by Bernard Willis, who's just one of the greatest guys on the planet, and Charlie Cordell. They are so involved in this program. They are there. They have everybody's back. As a matter of fact, I put a call in this morning, and somebody was running to Orlando to help a guy who got arrested. He went to his hearing, and then they arrested him, and they needed some support. So I'm very involved in that. We're building a halfway house, which is called Fern House 2, Phase 2. It's not so much as a halfway house. It is like traditional living facility for those that have completed the program, and they're well on their way to work. So the guys that are in the 6-month program are all working day jobs. They come back. It's extremely structured. They have people like Bernard and Charles in their life to help them, to see through them. There's another great guy there named Rich. And we have a goal of $900,000, and we raised half of it, which is awesome. So we've built this housing now, and we've got 32 beds, and we are looking for another $450,000, which I know we're going to get. So Fern House was running 20 years, no debt. Before they bought Fern House 2, and it's great. So it's just, what's really wonderful is that you're giving guys a second chance, a real chance at recovery. They're absolutely, going to give back to society.
Right.
It's really a fantastic program. And again, it's the people involved in it that I just fell in love with. There's just so many great guys there, really great guys that are they're working hard. And, it's very hard to be in the world as it is without these afflictions and addictions. That when you have something and you can't get a job, and you've been thrown out of your house, you've had a few different, you don't have a cell phone, you can't, there's just so many issues that people have that they take for granted. When you see some people that have so much affluence and they throw around, I've got to go here and I've got to go there. And I have a girlfriend who I adore, but she's extraordinarily selfish, and I saw a lot of behavior in her, which was funny, and she got on my case and she said, "Oh, you're so codependent. You just do too much for people." And I thought, wow. You know what? Wow. But it was really interesting, and I thought, I'm so grateful to God that I can see, that I do see, that I don't look away, because I can't imagine going through life just thinking about myself. I really can't. It would be just such a boring existence. So through her kind of saying that to me, I thought, yeah, you know what? And I'm glad. I'm glad I have that problem.
That ties in, and I didn't even know that story, but that ties in really well with what I mentioned to you at the beginning of the show before we went on. Most of our listeners know, Margaret, I don't script the show, but I always go into each and every segment with an intent in mind. And one of the things that I thought about with you was that, the thing that I learned from you, actually from our very first conversation, I don't think I told you this or even Julie this, was that you really show how you can use what you have, where you are, to make a difference right now. Do you think that is one of the great lessons that you have learned through your success and that you have seen through even the examples of the individuals you mentioned today?
Yes. Oh, God, yeah, absolutely. And, it really doesn't take much. There's not a heck of a lot that you have to do. If you can afford to help out with financially, that's great. If not, what we're looking for right now actually is we're bringing in a GED program to Fern House, because a lot of these guys don't have their GEDs. And trade. We have an issue here in the States with work and guys that really just don't have a trade. And a lot of these guys are involved in construction because they're day labor jobs, and some of them have minor charges that it's going to be very hard for them to get jobs with a record, with a bad record, which I really hope people are more open-minded to, and do give people a second chance, because sometimes it's just a real silly offense that somebody did when they were in a bad way, and we all deserve a second or third chance, right? I think third chances are good. I like three chances. But I don't know. I'm always getting off track with you because I could talk to you for hours. But we all can participate and help. But even if you have a trade, or you're a great reader, or you can help somebody learn English, it's just we could all give an hour a day. A friend of mine is a housekeeper, and she's amazing. She went through the battered women's shelter, and she has a daughter, and she's doing phenomenal, and she's able to make a really great living now as a housekeeper. And what's so mad is that she donates her time back to the shelter once a month. So I think that really is very telling, and really sort of where our heads should be at, because some of us can't do anything financially, but we can certainly be there too. And just being kind, I think, sometimes is huge, and just remembering that,
Right. And you know what? And you said something too. It really struck me too, and I feel the same way. I mean, you say so much that makes me think, wow, that makes me think of this question. But you were mentioning about your friend, and you said you were so glad that you could see, and that you could appreciate what people needed. I think that is what so many people want. They don't want to be invisible. We hear all the times about the invisible class or this group. Yeah. People want to know that they are seen, that they're appreciated, and that they matter, regardless of who they are or where they are. That's what people, I think, want. And I think, for you to be able to do that, to let people know just by your actions that, you know what, you matter to me, then that to me says so much to them, and I think they can't help but pay that forward.
Yeah, it's really something that we should really spread like wildfire. It's so important, and it makes a world of difference, because there's so many interesting people out there. There's so much talent. My God, there's a gorgeous girl in court with there, and she was getting in trouble because she missed her second hearing, and she has a 6-year-old child, and she's has a manager at Taco Bell, and here she is, this magnificent creature in court, and the judge was really hard on her, and I think all of these things are just such a waste of time. The system needs a real change, and I would really love to see the next politician or president and whoever who comes in who has any power to do that, to just sort of either bring back the drug farms, which is it's not prison, it's not jail, it's somebody that goes there with a drug offense, and really give these people some help and recovery, because when they get recovered, I mean, their lives change, but getting out of it is so tough sometimes. Just getting out of that rut and having somebody help them, giving somebody a cell phone sometimes is just so incredible. Talking to your local dentist and, having him donate, dentures or dental care. It's unbelievable what people need. It's not a fancy car. It's not a, $200,000 house. Sometimes it's, a sandwich or teeth or a medical checkup, people suffering from depression that have horrible bouts of addiction due to not being properly diagnosed, bipolar, maybe they need some medication.
Right.
It's endless what we can do, but not to look away. Just, spend a little time on it. It's so worthwhile, my God. It's the best beauty elixir around. It really is.
I totally agree.
And I have so many friends that are just involved in the other stuff, and a lot of it is flash, which is also fun for the moment. But geez, what does it do for you personally? It's so nice to know that you help somebody, and even if it's that, like, I think you and I discussed it before. It's not so much going out into the world. Look to your left, look to your right. Do you have somebody that works for you that looks like maybe they're having a tough time, or sometimes it's just we're sitting right next to you, but we always want to do something bigger, and we don't have to. It's just about doing something like Mother Teresa. It's so small, really, what she did sometimes. Sometimes she just reached out and touched somebody,
But it's that. But I think it's that compassion, Margaret, that definitely makes a difference, and people can tell. They can tell no matter what you're doing. Your condition, your heart condition, when you're doing it, and they can tell if you're doing it because you really want to. And I think that is what means so much to them, for them to know that it is heartfelt, and that is what people actually, I think, are getting from you as well. That the work that you're doing is something that's coming from the heart, and that's why it's so special. Again, Margaret Luce, everyone, is our guest. She's someone who has found success as an actress, as a model, but also it seems as though her greatest work is being able to help others. She's been talking with us about her journey here. Margaret, how can our listeners stay in contact with you and, of course, your upcoming projects as well?
Well, I have some fun. I've been doing these fun little jobs down in Miami lately. I did a commercial for Columbia, here and there, and I'll be up in New York for a few weeks this summer working on another project. And I'm one of the owners of Backstage Magazine, which is an actors magazine. It really is a great tool for them to find work. That's kind of a really fun project. It's taken off. It's been around for 60 years, and now it's in paperback, so it's really quite fun. I am, I kind of slowed down this year. I really felt my kids needed me. My son is 8 and my daughter is 6, and I just took my son up to New York to have a special little birthday. It was my birthday, actually, and we went to the zoo and just spent some mommy time, and it was really great. So this year I've really been a little more reflective and quiet. I can't say that I was really out seeking things. I definitely, sometimes the career happens, sometimes you get calls and you get a film and you get a job and it's great, and then it slows down for a little bit. So I welcome that. I welcome that time. I welcome that time to just sort of spend. They're at very special ages right now, so I really felt they needed me, and they're such good kids. So I'm really blessed. I'm blessed that they're healthy and happy and creative, and showing them and leading a good life is the best example, and that's how to raise our children. I think just by showing by example. My mom showed me that way. My mom was an amazing woman who raised us, all three of us, and she started the soup kitchens in Norwalk, Connecticut. We were raised in Westport. She was really phenomenal, and to this day still goes and cleans the pots and pans. So I have to say, she was always great. Really great movement in the recycling up there too. So I learned from her. She was great. She's always a doer, always doing something, and that's how she stays young. Moving and music, moving and music. Music is a big part of our life.
And I was thinking too, Margaret, that that your examples are definitely an example for all of us. Just as you were able to learn from your mom, we are able to watch examples like you as to what is possible. Again, nothing wrong with, of course, having the success, but always realizing what is important, what really matters in life, and that is, I think, what you really begin to exemplify. Margaret is also, of course, as she mentioned, she's on Twitter. You can find her at twitter.com/Margaret Luce, so make sure you stay in contact with her there. Margaret, congratulations again on all of the success, both personally and professionally, and it's always a pleasure to speak with you. You're welcome back here anytime,
Hey, do you know what? Can I give you the website if anybody wants
sure.
to check out what we're doing? It's called thefernhouse.org. And Fernhouse is FERN house.org, and you click the link to the home page, and it's Bridging the Gap campaign. So if you want to stay tuned and see what we're doing down here, we're changing the way things are done in West Palm Beach.
The Fernhouse.org, is where they can go for more information. And we actually will put that in the liner notes as well for those listening to us online as well, Margaret. So thank you so much, Margaret, again for the time. Thanks again to Julie for help setting up the conversation. And, Margaret, we're looking forward to the next one. Thank you so much for being back on with us.
Me too. See you soon. Blessings.
All right. Blessings
Bye.
to you as well. Now, if you guys came in late and missed part of the conversation with Margaret, don't worry. You can catch the entire podcast about 3 minutes after we go off the air here. All you have to do is go to our radio website at conversationsliveradio.com. That's conversations with an S, liveradio.com. Also, if you're friends with us on Facebook or follow us on Twitter, the link's already available on both of those places. Head over to facebook.com/CyrusWebb or twitter.com/CyrusWebb. You can click on the link there, go back and listen to the show completely for free, and also share it with your friends using the social media buttons there on the bottom. I want to once again thank Margaret for coming on. Always great to check in with her and to see what she's been up to. And a lot of great information she shared with us, not only about what she's been able to do in her life, but I think what is possible for all of us, regardless of where we might be in the world. Make sure you guys do visit her website, fernhouse.org. As I said, we're going to be putting that in the liner notes for you guys listening to us through blogtalkradio.com. You'll be able to find it there. Definitely go there and see what you can do to be able to make a difference in someone's life. Until next time, I'm Cyrus Webb saying, as always, enjoy your day, enjoy your life, enjoy your world. Make sure you take out time to enjoy some good music and, of course, a great book. Thank you all for tuning in to Conversations Live. Make it a great one.